beautiful lesson to take from the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about him, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ. Whenever he was tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what the degree of the test that he was tested with, he passed every single test. Subhanallah. And one of the greatest tests he was placed with was when he was requested to sacrifice his son. Even to that extent, he was able to pass his test. And the legacy that is left behind, and what we try to take from it, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us to pass our tests as well. And sometimes in our lives there are sacrifices that we need to make. The objective of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanding Ibrahim alayhi salam was not to sacrifice the son, rather to see that you have a strong attachment to your son. You're waiting for a long time to get him. At the old age I gave it to him, but let's see to what extent you are able to give up that attachment. And he was able to. And sometimes in our lives there are things that we are attached to that cause us to deviate from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through this legacy grant us as well, if there's an attachment that's causing us to deviate, an attachment that is haram, for example, and Allah grants us to make the necessary sacrifice from Ibrahim alayhi salam. Another beautiful point that is made is that logically it doesn't make sense to sacrifice a human being. Logically it doesn't make sense to sacrifice a son. But Ibrahim alayhi salam, because it was the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he didn't argue with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whether it logically makes sense or not. He says, your command, Ya Allah, then I submit. Sometimes there's going to be things that we come across that initially is not going to make sense to us. There's always wisdom behind the command of Allah, but we're not always going to understand the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe at a later time we see the wisdom behind it, but it's not always going to be an understanding of it. If it's authentically from the Quran, authentic from the Sunnah of Rasulullah, then our first point, our starting point is submission to the command. Allah, I don't understand it, but I accept it. Allah grant me the ability to fulfill this command. And that is all some of the beautiful lessons that we learn from the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Khair, we are currently busy with Surah Al-Bayyina, as is requested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. So we say, أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. I mentioned it before, I just to see from your side, if you take note in my class, what is the objective of us seeking protection by Allah from shaitan, the curse, when reading the Holy Quran? What is the objective of seeking protection from Allah, by Allah, from shaitan, the curse? Anybody? What's the objective? Why do we do it? Sorry? We don't get sidetracked. Okay, that's one possibility. So you focused on one thing and then shaitan gets you sidetracked and you do something else. What else is? Lovely. To get an incorrect meaning of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to convey to you. So you read something, you may be reading a translation Quran, but now shaitan is telling you, hey, but it actually means this. So you get the incorrect understanding of the verse. I give you a very simple explanation, and this was actually used. People use this. The verse is وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَنْتُمْ سُكَارَى. Don't come to your salah whilst you're intoxicated. Don't come to your salah whilst you're drunk. So people use this and they say, you see, so long as I'm not drunk when I come to salah, then it's fine. So long as now in context, when the verse was revealed, that is what it meant. Because in the first 13 years in Makkah, they were allowed to drink. Alcohol was only banned in Medina. So it was 3 stages that it was banned in. Initially it was said, it's not so good for you. Then one of the Sahaba went into Salah and he changed the words around. And he's saying, you are my Lord, Ya Allah, and I'm your slave. He says, oh Allah, you are my slave and I'm your Lord. So the verses came down to say, at least not in Salah. Then in Medina, the verses were abrogated, and it now said, okay, it's official. Alcohol is no longer at all allowed for you. But someone will read this verse, and he will say, but the verse tells me that. And shaitan is convincing him, and he takes a nice, dope or two, thinking that he's acting on Quran because I'm not making salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from this. And this happens. Today we got what is a group what's known as modernists. Modernists look at the Quran and say this verses doesn't make any sense. We need to re-look at these verses and we need to give a new judgment and ruling on these verses. That's what's happening. We're currently facing that battle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. Another important meaning that we take from seeking protection from shaitan is that you might be inspired, I've mentioned this before, by a verse. So you say, okay, I'm going to implement this in my life now. I'm going to apply it to my life. Shaitan tells you, wait, you're not yet ready, man. When you're older, when you're 40 and you go on Hajj and then you implement it. Don't implement it now. Or when you do implement it, then you have your whole family and the whole world against you. And they start calling you weird names like, I just want to be pious, and you just want to be salih, and you just want to make salah all day, and now you're wrapped up like a mummy, and I don't know what all and what all and what all. And strangely, it's the family that does that. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the whisperings of shaitan. It's going to say, see, it's rather better to go back to your old life, rather become the person that you were. So we ask Allah to protect us from that, inshallah. Then we start in the name of Allah, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the especially merciful. The verse that we should start at today is verse number 5. I just want to go quickly through the first few verses to give us context as to what we are busy with. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة. That those who have rejected الذين كفروا from the people of the book, the rejectors, they are not going to stop, they are not going to leave off their way, they are not going to turn away from their wrong, they are not going to turn away from the belief, they are not going to turn away from the idol worship حتى تأتيهم البينة, until clear evidence comes to them. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking at it from a bird's eye view and saying, okay, these people, they're not going to change until guidance comes to them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so the guidance has come. Rasulun, a messenger has come. Yat min Allah, from Allah. Yatlu suhufan mutahhara. And he's reciting pure scrolls. Fiha kutubun qayyima. And in it is clear, upright guidance. Reference is made. We always look at Quran and we look at it as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to me and you. And when we were here in the last session, I mentioned that this is the people Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the rejectors. This is the people that were doing idol worship. When guidance comes to them, what is their state going to be? The next verse says that they didn't separate, they didn't differentiate, they didn't go on different paths until that guidance came to them. So number one, they're going to stay on their way of life or their way of thinking until guidance comes. But when guidance finally came, then some said, this is correct, we're going to follow it. And others said, no, I'm not interested in following this. I'm going to turn away from this. This was the people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, who rejected, and the mushrikeen. And so in reference to ourselves, we are on a journey of Quran, we are on a journey of discovering the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're constantly going to be bombarded with different new things that we maybe didn't know before. And what's the state of our being going to be when that comes? We're going to be of those that, like those rejected, that no, this doesn't apply to my life. Or we're going to try our best to say, how am I going to put this into my life? How am I going to apply this in my life? How am I going to get my family to benefit from this? Because reference is made to the rejectors, they didn't turn back. Then the next verse, and the next verse is very beautiful, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains what is the starting point of our journey. So the rejectors, they didn't want to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mushrikun, they didn't want to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But had they done this particular thing, this would have caused their journey to be very, very different. And this is our start of our journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أُمِرُوا, and they were not commanded. Wa, and this ma puts the sentence into negative. The verb comes from amara. Amara, and then if you go down the scale, amara, amaru. Okay, so there is where amaru comes in. Then this verb is majhul. Have you done majhul? No? So you get fa'ala. Fa'ala is he did. Fu'ila is a majhul verb. Majhul means we don't know who the doer is. It was done. Got that? Okay? If you didn't do it now, just understand the explanation of it. You get fa'ala means he did. Fu'ila, the huruf are just changed. Fu'ila, it was done. So here, umiru from amara, the thing is changed to umiru. They were not commanded. Okay? They were not commanded, and I'm going to give the complete translation first, and then we'll go into some explanation. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا except لِيَعْبُدُوا, that they worship. لِيَعْبُدُوا, that they worship. Worship who? Allah. That they worship Allah mukhlisin. Mukhlisin means sincerely. Sincerely. Lahu, for him, ad-deen, regarding this deen, in relation to this deen. So they weren't commanded to do anything except that they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mukhlisina lahu ad-deen, sincerely for him in relation to this deen, to the deen of Allah. Hunafa. Hunafa means there's one word that is generally used. One word is so big and sometimes we don't know what it means. So I'll give an explanation. I'll give the one word and I'll give an explanation for it as well. Monotheism. Monotheism, mono, means one. Theism. Sorry? Theism, like you get atheism, I'm against the belief of one God. So mono, one, true God. Your sole objective is to put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first in your life. Hunafa. So monotheism can also be translated over here as inclining towards good, inclining towards one creator, inclining towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'll go into some more meaning over there as well after I give a full translation of the verse. وَيُقِيمُ الصَّلَاةِ. وَيُقِيمُ means to establish, and they establish as-salah, the salah. وَيُؤْتُوا, and they give az-zakah, they give the zakah. Okay. That's not the end of the verse. وَذَلِكَ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and that is deen, the religion, al-qayyima, the upright religion, the correct deen. Okay, so I mentioned that this is the starting point of our journey. What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying here? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that the starting point of their journey, all they needed to do is they needed to worship Allah sincerely. Sincerity is such an important factor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even says here, before establishing salah, before you can make salah, before giving zakah, there has to be sincerity in the action. The action has to be done sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is our starting point. It's just to make a niyyah. Just to turn back and say, Ya Allah, I'm going to do this purely for your sake. Ya Allah, I'm going to try purely for your sake. And this is where the journey starts. Just with an intention. So many people, just by an intention, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the intention, and the journey then goes a long way. SubhanAllah. I've often mentioned my journey as to where I find myself today, alhamdulillah. And I think I'll just give you a snippet, very quick snippet of it. Inshallah, and I hope it can be of benefit and inspiration to you, inshallah. I remember when we came beginning of this year, someone in our second year class told me, on this date last year, you told your story, and my daughter's currently in the first year, and I need you to tell the story so that hopefully they can get benefit from it as well. And we passed half the year and I didn't mention the story, but I'll mention a portion of it, and inshallah as time goes on I'll maybe give some more detail. So we're speaking about the importance of the intention, the starting point of your journey, just having a sincere intention for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, I want to try. So I was in grade 10, standard 8, Museum High School, and we had what is known as RE, religious education. So once a month they would bring in a pastor or something just to give us some religious education. So you heard the story there? Okay. So one day they brought in a Maulana. So we're sitting in a small hall, and I'm sitting about 50 seats back, and I remember him so vividly and clearly, mashallah. He, when speaking to us, so it's a mixed gathering, Muslims and non-Muslims. When speaking to us, he says, of the Muslims, who can tell us what the 5 pillars of Islam are? So at the time, probably 16 years old, grade 10, Alhamdulillah, I was doing very well in every aspect regarding my schooling. Academics, I was doing well. Socially, I was doing well. Table tennis, I was the first team table tennis captain. I was doing well. When he asked the question about the 5 pillars of my deen, I couldn't recall my 5 pillars. Can you imagine that? That's like the foundation of our deen. And what I did was I was sitting on a chair and I started sliding down my chair like that. Started sliding down with the hope that he's not going to see me and he's not going to ask me. And I lived that day feeling so bad, like, how is it possible? I'm doing well in everything else, but I don't know the bare minimum of my deen, the 5 pillars. So at that particular point I made a niyyah. Ya Allah, when I finish my matric, I'm going to do 1 year of Islamic studies. 1 year of Islamic studies. And subhanallah, when it came to the end of my matric, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted the niyyah. And I remember my father telling me, there's a place there in Weinberg, we get off the station, just go to the masjid and go find out what's happening there. That's like the guidance that I get. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And the first day I come, I still remember, I don't even know Dr. Mujib Hussain. Dr. Mujib Hussain is a tip practitioner. So he was second year. And I came there, when I came to the masjid, I asked him, where do I go in? But because of how I was dressed, he said, the station is at the back. So I had a NY, straight peak, jeans, Nikes, everything. I said, no, I don't look for the station, I'm looking for how do I get into the masjid? So he said, oh, maaf, sorry. You go inside here. And subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted the niyyah to the extent that not only did I do the 1 year, I fell in love with the course. I did the second year. Not only did I do the second year, completed my hifz. Not only did I complete my hifz, but I completed the alim course as well. That was because of a niyyah. That was because of a niyyah. Subhanallah. And وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ. Just be sincere. The hadith Qudsi, Rasulullah says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a handspan, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to you an arm's length. If you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arm's length, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to you 2 arms length. If you come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala walking, then Allah comes to you running. And this is the starting point. You don't know where this journey is going to end up. You don't know, don't underestimate yourself. You don't know where this journey of you sitting here today on a Sunday is going to take you. Subhanallah. So I want us to take a moment, inshallah, just make a sincere intention. Ya Allah, for your sake, I'm here, I want to get to know your deen, I want to practice on this deen, and make a niyyah that Allah uses you for the deen. Don't underestimate how I'll never be able to sit in front and explain all these things. It might be that through you being inspired, you explain to somebody and that person is inspired and they go further their knowledge and you get the reward of that. Rasulullah says that when a person passes on, إِذَا مَاتَ إِبْنُ آدَمَ إِنْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثٍ. When a person passes on, everything is left behind except that 3 things go with him. And he will continue getting these 3 things, the reward of these 3 things until the day of Qiyamah. Number 1 is sadaqatul jariyah, a sadaqah that he invested in a masjid, put a window there, he gave a brick for the building, he invested in a madrasa, did something like that. And as long as that that investment is still there until the day of Qiyamah is going to get the rewards of whatever is happening there. The second thing is ilmun yuntafa'u bi, knowledge that you passed on and someone benefits from that knowledge. As long as that person benefits from that knowledge or he passes that knowledge on, you get the benefits of that knowledge. So you teach someone alif bata. That person then decides through the alif bata he wants to further his studies and he wants to become hafiz of Quran. As long as he's reciting Quran, you're getting a reward for that. And he may be continue teaching someone else. And then waladun salihun yad'u lahu, a pious child that makes dua for you. So don't underestimate your ability. Don't underestimate how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can use you. If Allah wishes to use you, He will use you. So we make a sincere intention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts us for this deen, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts us so that He uses us for this deen. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Okay, enough of my story. There's a lot of very exciting parts that I left out, but maybe on another day inshallah. وَمَا تَفَرَّقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْبَيِّنَةُ وَمَا أُمِرُوا, and they've not been commanded إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا, to worship Allah, مُخْلِصِينَ, number one, sincerely. And this is important, sincerity. In every act that we do, the scholars say, check the intention in the beginning. The first hadith that comes in Sahih Bukhari is إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. We all know this hadith. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that every action is judged by the intention that you make. If your intention is for the sake of Allah, then you're going to get the reward of it for the sake of Allah. If your intention is anything else, then you don't get the reward of it as if it is done for the sake of Allah. I give you an example. I go into salah. So I come in, I stand here and I just make Allahu Akbar and I do the entire action of 2 rak'ats, but I didn't have a niyyah behind it. You can't get the reward as if you did it for the sake of Allah. You go into the masjid, you start praying Asr Salah, but you don't make intention that it's Asr Salah that I'm praying. Then you won't get the reward as if it was Asr Salah. The intention is behind. There's a difference between going to the shower and showering and cleansing yourself and going into the shower and saying I make niyyah for a fard ghusl. Two completely different things. You're in a state of janaba, for example, you have to go for the fard ghusl. But you go in without making intention to go for the ghusl. When you come out of the shower, you're clean physically, but you're still in a state of janaba, meaning you can't make salah. Just with the intention. The intention is in the heart, you don't have to verbalize it. But if you have the intention that Allah, I'm making this for whatever sake, then it will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. Yes.
I might say at the beginning, my thinking was now to come to something.
Yes.
In the time of all, my knowledge, I have to ask for that. What only that is so many things.
So the intention needs to be present when doing the act, to the best of your ability. So the brother asked, for example, I make my intention, I'm going to make asr, but then time goes on and you forget and so on and so forth, and then later on you make asr. That is fine because you're within the time, and the only salah you can make at that time is asr. But to the best of your ability, have the presence of mind regarding the intention when doing the act. That's like the best thing that you can do, best possible thing that you can do. So this verse refers to having that presence of mind, having the correct intention, doing it. And a very good example, as I said, is the example of the ghusl. It's either you come out there out of a state of janaba and you can make salah, or you come out physically clean but you still can't make salah. So the niyyah. And then the scholars say, in the middle of the action, say for example you're doing something good, when you started with a good niyyah, in the middle of the action, check the niyyah again. So I started something good, I'm doing charity work, or I'm doing something, but then in between shaitan, whispers in my ear, that person saw how good you are, mashallah, and they're praising you. And now your niyyah changes from doing it for the sake of Allah to doing it to be praised. So in the middle of the act, you renew your intention again. Ya Allah, I'm not doing it for those people, I'm doing it for your sake. And at the end of the action, you renew your intention again. Same with salah. You start your salah, Ya Allah, I'm doing my fard salah maghrib for the sake of Allah. Then in salah, you're thinking about the food, you're thinking about the wife, you're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. Immediately, in your salah, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, and you renew the intention, Ya Allah, I'm doing this for your sake. At the end of the salah, Rasul recommended, seek istighfar. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah 3 times for any mistakes that you made in it. Okay? And then the word hunafa, something interesting over here. Hunafa, as I explained, monotheism and what it means, it comes from the word Hanafiya. Hanafiya means a tap. Now, what does a tap got to do with the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So a tap, if you look at what a tap does, what does a tap do? What does a tap do? A tap releases water. Did you even forget what a tap does? A tap brings water from a source that you cannot see, but it centralizes that water to one point. So the water is being drawn from a different source, a well or some source, and it brings it to one point. So the word, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكَ وَذَلِكَ, that understanding that you got now, deen al-qayyimah, that is the correct understanding, that is the correct deen. This is how you're going to start your journey, and this is how you're going to continue your journey with a niyyah. Question? Sorry? Hunafa, as I said, one word, monotheism, one theism. It's your belief in God is one. Another way of you can translate it is inclining towards good, inclining towards Allah. Monotheism. Okay, ذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمِ. This concept of understanding your deen, this is it. If you got this, you got your deen. If you don't have this, very problematic. I just want to conclude with one hadith, which whenever I mention this hadith, it makes my hair stand, because it's subhanAllah, very serious. Rasulullah says on the day of Qiyamah, the first three people, that is going to be questioned. The first three people that's going to be questioned is the alim, the one who's given knowledge, the qari, the reciter, the one who recited beautifully, and the mujahid fi sabilillah, the one who went onto the battlefield and he fought for the sake of Allah. The alim is going to be told by Allah that I've given you knowledge, and I've given you ability, and I've given you what did you do with it? And he says, Ya Allah, I taught people with the knowledge that you gave me. I've inspired people, I gave lectures, I've done. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, you lie. The only reason you did it was to be called an alim, to be called a knowledgeable person, and people called you that. You got your reward in the dunya. You wanted to be called that, people called you that, and he's taken his face forward and he's dragged into Jahannam. The qari is called, the one that recites beautifully, and he's asked, I gave you a beautiful voice, I gave you the ability to recite, I gave you my book, what did you do with it? And he says, I recited day and night. I inspired your slaves, your people via my recitation. And he told you lie. The only reason you did it was to be called a qari. فَقَدْ قِيلَ, it was said to you that you were qari. It was said to you that, wow, mashallah, look how beautifully you recite. And he's taken and he's thrown into Jahannam. And the mujahid fi sabilillah, the person who went on the battlefield, he comes with scars, he comes with his limbs amputated. And he says to him, I've given you ability, I've given you strength, I've given you this, I've given you that. What did you do? And he says, I went onto the battlefield and I fought for your sake, Ya Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no, you did it to be called shuja', you did it to be called a warrior and a brave person, and everyone called you that. There's no reward for you here. And he's taken and thrown to the fire of Jahannam. I want you to think about this for a moment. The alim, he studies 6 to 10 years, and in a lifetime of service, and then to be thrown into Jahannam. When he studied 6 to 10 years, and he gave service for another 20 to 30 years, do you think that was his niyyah, that at the end of all this I want to be thrown into Jahannam? No. So what was the cause that he was cast into Jahannam? What is the cause that he was thrown into Jahannam? Sorry? The intention behind what he done was not correct. 6 to 10 years of studies, a lifetime of service, but the niyyah wasn't, Ya Allah, I'm doing it for the sake of Allah. The niyyah is, people must say, yo, mashallah, look how intelligent he is, look how nice he speaks, look how nice he recites, look how, and that becomes your reward. May Allah protect us. May we not be of those that after we've made a niyyah to assist our families, to assist our friends, to be of service for this deen, that we get thrown away on the Qiyamah because we did it for other than Allah. And that's the concept of today's lesson. May may our niyyahs be sincere. Something beautiful about the niyyah is that when you make the niyyah, it's written down as a reward. When you act on that niyyah, then it's multiplied. So just make any niyyah, Ya Allah, I want to become Hafiz of Quran, it's already documented as something good. And if you are able to, then the reward is multiplied. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Jazakallah khair wa akhir da'wana, alhamdulillah.